So, welcome back from our small break. I hope you have gotten your refreshments or anything you might need for our next talk by Luís, who's going to tell us everything about living with a perfectionist mind and also how to deal with it. Um, Hi, Luís.
Hello, everyone.
How are you doing today?
Not too bad. It's a beautiful day here in Hilversum.
Oh, then you're more lucky than I am, I think, because it's still raining.
Oh, raining there. No, here
Yeah.
it's still sunny.
Ah, just you wait. You'll get the rain later. All right. Yeah, good luck with your talk, and I'll talk to you after. I think, yeah.
Thank you very much. Cool. So, thank you for inviting me, and let's get it started. I have a big claim to make here, which is people in our industry they are struggling with mental health. But I couldn't say that without having data, right? People from OSMI, who is a non-profit org based on the US, they do loads of research and they provide some resources on mental health. And they every year they do a research on the topic to know how well the industry is treating mental health, and the results are interesting. We have here like people who think they have had mental health issues or disorders in the past. People who think that they are currently struggling with that. So you can see that the results are interesting, especially with people who don't know about how they are feeling or their life, uh, how their lives are. And by the way, I forgot to mention this is based on 2020 data or the research. People who were diagnosed with mental health disorder, and you can see that from 180 people, it's not a big number, but like 90% out of 50, they said yes. And how well the industry is dealing with that? Not very well. Many people are feeling quite alone all the time because they also feel like they cannot share about this topic. Um, they are not comfortable enough. And so the idea of this talk is, as I said before, is to challenge this and actually talk about that. This movie is called A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, and there's a fantastic line there, which I like to paraphrase here, as to have mental health issues is to be human, and anything human is mentionable, and anything mentionable is manageable. So we need to break this idea of let's not mention mental health issues. Let's start talking and let's start managing the situation so that we can heal. But we're here to talk about perfectionism. Obviously, this comes with a disclaimer. I'm not a psychologist, but and this let's try to define perfectionism here. So the idea is that perfectionism is a personality trait that leads to some things. Uh, Flawlessness or striving for that, setting possible standards which people will never get there, and a lot of self-criticism. According to these folks here, we have this definition and a few things that really caught my eyes here. So there are very demanding standards which are self-imposed and which are also pursued relentlessly and involving the self-worth of someone only based on how well these standards are met. However, people often say that the perfectionism is kind of a quality, right? So especially on job interviews, what's your main thing? Oh, I'm quite perfectionist. And they actually mean that they want to, they always deliver great results, which makes me think, okay, is perfectionism always bad? As any kind of web search you do, YouTube will definitely disagree that it can be a good thing. For example, the problem with perfectionism, this is a mild one. From perfectionism to the depression, the mental breakdown. Why perfectionism will destroy you and everything you love, and ultimately perfectionism will kill your happiness. And these titles are a bit too dreadful, aren't they? You will you get depressed only by reading this. After doing some research, I found out that there are two categories of perfectionism: adaptive and maladaptive. The former is achievement-oriented and the latter is failure-oriented. And after reading this, I was like, okay, so the folks on these videos are talking about maladaptive perfectionism, right? So this is the problem. If people could focus more on the achievements, everything is good. However, things are not black and white. With even more research, I found out that perfectionism is actually a multi-dimensional concept with three dimensions. Self-oriented, which is about the high standards that someone imposes to themselves. So, for example, these people will think, hey, it makes me very uneasy to see error in my own work. Or one of my goals is to be perfect in everything that I do. Or I must be always successful at work or at school or working at my full potential all the time. We have another dimension, which is other-oriented. That entails projecting high standards to other people. So having really high expectations to people who are important to you or to colleagues. The output of someone is not good enough for you, or and the people who matter the most to someone should never let them down. Like they cannot fail, never. And the last dimension is socially described or prescribed, sorry, which is essentially triggered by my perception of expectations that other people have towards myself. For example, the better I do, the better I am expected to do. Or my family always expects me to be perfect all the time. The tricky thing about these three dimensions is not that you can only have one of them. You may develop perfectionism or these three dimensions in different levels. So you can be a lot self-oriented, but a little bit other-oriented, and so on and so forth. And then the question is, how does perfectionism become a problem? The Dr. Keith Gaynor has a brilliant talk on this. And there's a representation that he shares that I really liked. So perfectionism starts usually with someone with a low self-esteem. That makes that person create very high standards and rigid standards and high expectations. And then when doing something, there are three possible outcomes. That person may avoid this task, does not meet the standard, or it can temporarily meet the standard. But right after that, they undermine the achievement. In all these three situations, we have self-criticism. And this goes back and creates even a lower self-esteem. Let's give a quick example. I tell myself that I have to be the perfect dad. I need to go to the supermarket with my son, and that's a very important detail here. He's extremely active, and whenever he doesn't get what he wants, he cries, and he cries quite a lot and very loudly. So applying the logic, I can avoid the task and say, hey, you know what? I'll go there later. My wife will be able to, once my wife is here, she can take care of the little one, and I'll go to the supermarket. I can perform this task, but not meet the standard that I set, as in being the perfect dad. Let's say the kid wants chocolate, and I don't want to buy it, and therefore he cries a lot. And then I look around and see, God, like people are going to think bad things about me, right? Or what kind of dad am I? And the last one is like, I do it well, and the kid cries a little bit. I manage to talk to him and calm him down. And the thing that comes to my mind is, but he cried. And that self-criticism makes me say, yo, I'm not you know what, I'm not the perfect dad. And this cycle creates a few things: anxiety, depression, obsessive compulsive personality disorder. People say OCPD just to make it shorter. But these are kind of the things that start like symptoms that make you realize, hey, maybe my perfectionism is a problem. A little bit about me. I'm Luís Cobucci. I am a perfectionist. And the idea is to share with you how my perfectionist mind works. And for a very, very, very long time, I only saw my perfectionism as something that gave me superpowers. So because I was so detail-oriented, I could come up with solutions that nobody thought about, or prevent big issues, or even see some minor details that people didn't realize. And obviously, some drawbacks came in the package, which I took my sweet time to realize. Procrastination. I'm an excellent procrastinator, and yes, if you're thinking that I did not apply procrastination here, I already had presented this talk, and I felt like, okay, I needed to do some minor changes, which were not minor in the end. I procrastinated to do these changes, and yes, some of them were applied like 5 minutes ago, which I'm not proud. But this is constant in my life, and always it comes with a price of panicking and shame. I used to keep a mask between myself and others, creating this kind of perfect person, especially in the work area. So I always spotted all the complex problems. I always tackled the difficult challenges, and I always excelled at doing that. And in my idea, keeping this mask was good because people would have good thoughts. But at the same time, it was always very difficult because, you know, I have to keep up to my own expectations, which leads to shame. Every little detail, shame was always there. And I am Brazilian, and as someone whose primary language or native language is not English, I always make mistakes. Some of my mistakes are even recorded and live on YouTube, which I decided never to watch again because, you know, more shame comes with the thing. The feeling of not being quite good enough, it's always there. For example, I sing and play the guitar for many years. I'm learning to play the piano, but I don't accept this musician label. Like, I don't think I'm good enough to have this label applied to me. And being proud of something is something that I cannot connect. Like pride, I simply don't process pride. It's like I'm happy with the results, but not proud of them, because I always think that, many like anyone in this position could achieve the same result, and everything would be fine. More than once, I saw that my actions. Well, I realized afterwards, right, that my actions have helped people's growth, which is like not really nice when you're in a team and you want for people to continually get better. And the main cause of that was that I thought that their output was not good enough. There was always some mistakes. The designs were never good enough, and obviously, I had this kind of constant negativity clouding my thoughts, and all these things led me to a burnout and mild depression. I had to stop my activities. I had to say, hey, I am harming myself. I am also harming people around me. And I had to rethink what are the strategies that I can apply, which would help me. The first thing was to try to use therapy to understand myself. This is really important. Like, people don't need to go to therapy only because they have a problem. Just because they want to know more about themselves is already a good enough reason to seek help from a therapist. My wife jokes that everybody in the world needs a therapist or needs to talk to a psychologist, because it just helps and helps a lot. Doing meditation to calm down my thoughts and be able to focus helped me tremendously. I managed to do almost a full year of meditation, and I saw the difference. Then I did not manage to do it ever again. Sometimes I said, okay, I'm gonna do it, but I don't. Another thing that helps me is to give more importance to my family. This little one helps me a lot on that, and completely changed my life like 2 years ago. Laughing at my own mistakes. So stop frowning at every single thing that I say incorrectly or mispronounce, or I don't know, any mistake that I do at work. I turn I try to turn this into jokes instead of being ashamed of them. And then you can think, okay, Luis, but what about the things that are really related to our profession? There are few. So going from the work environment, the most important one is putting myself in a diverse work environment. The general thought is that it's very unlikely that you're going to have different ideas coming from a room full of middle-aged white men who grew up in about the same place and learned things in the very same way. It's also very likely that only a couple of people in that room will be the ones making the decisions, and which really makes me challenge that everyone is like, if everyone is actually thinking, or they are just nodding their heads in approval. To me, by having a diverse environment creates a richer set of ideas. And I see that whenever I have a pragmatic person in my team, this makes a very, very, very big difference. Because just by having, not necessarily two extremes, but let's say different positions in the spectrum, like pragmatic and perfectionist, I have the weight to discuss problems in different ways, and then we can go for a very complicated solution into another very simple solution, and find something in the middle, which is very powerful. In about, I think around 2006, I discovered the Agile Manifesto, which I think also changed my my perception and my approach on software engineering. The values and the principles there are things that I really relate to. For example, working software is the primary measure of progress. Continuous attention to technical excellence enhances agility and simplicity. Like, these are really important, and sometimes we get confused with what's agile, and we often say we're doing agile, but we're not getting results. The problem is that you're doing agile, you're not being agile, and that's a big difference, right? And also, agile is not Scrum. So there are many different methodologies. The one that I like the best is Kanban. Kanban helps me a lot because it makes everything visual. You see all the bottlenecks, all the problems, and you're able to tackle them. It's flexible and evolvable by design, and all the improvements that you do, they're guided by metrics. So honestly, if you want to try something different, read about Kanban, talk to different people who are practicing it, and try to apply this at your company. You're going to see a lot of difference. ATDD, so acceptance test-driven development, as something that allows me to focus. So the idea here is to have acceptance tests done in the high level, and then while implementing, you're going to do TDD cycles, right? So I like to use Gherkin language. My primary programming language is PHP, so Behat is one of my preferred tools for this job. So the idea is, before implementing anything, or before even discussing like technical things, we sit together with people from product or even the customer, and we come up with scenarios for each feature to do, like, okay, what are the expectations? The idea of the Gherkin language is basically to use given, when, then. So set up, trigger the action, and the expectations. By using that, I can focus on one scenario, implement that, let TDD drive my design, and then go to the next feature, refactor, go on. Using Git as a way to focus, but with that, I mean using atomic commits, describing your messages well, so not only using the subject of the commit message, but also the message, providing references or links to why this is the solution. If you're just saying this removes feature X, like, this can be seen on the change set, but if you say why this is being done, then it's much easier for you to understand the context, and also to narrow down the idea. So by focusing on atomicity, you say, okay, this removes that, this fixes the code standards violations we had there. So having things that don't fail the build, or all the checks pass, and you're able to describe things well, narrow down your focus. It's funny to mention this because the previous talk also talked about trunk-based development, and to me this really makes a difference. So have a branch that leave for only a few hours, or just go directly to the main branch. It's awesome. Like you're just going to be able to focus on what's important. You're going to deliver the increments. And if you're, for example, developing a feature and you found a bug in the process, you can simply switch your context, commit this only, commit the fix to the bug, go back to the feature, and reduce the feedback loop, which for me makes a lot of change. It changes my workflow because it basically prevents me from going too deep or getting caught up in details. But what do I do when I have to let my perfectionism really exist? I use open source for that. So open source is amazing. And to me, it's kind of a way for me to let off the steam and just either experiment, not aiming at the perfect solution, so I can try to get better at that, or to go full in and allow myself to be really perfectionist and try to see the differences in the two approaches. So all of those are things that you can try in your life. But it's important to remember one thing. Life isn't always beautiful. There is ugliness. And just a reminder, we really need to talk about that. And instead of seeking perfection on everything that we do, we can try to look for mastery. So if we look back at the cycle that we had, how can we break this? First thing that you can do is stop making these rigid expectations or standards. Just lower the bar a little bit. Then once you do that, stop avoiding the task. Be able to accept any scenario, but do it. And if you do meet the standards that you created, stop undermining that. This is not good. And this obviously is something that needs to be removed from the picture. If you go well, if you don't go well, everything is something that you're going to learn from, you're going to laugh from, and it's going to make you better at the end. And this will ultimately break this cycle, and it will make your life slightly simpler. A good reminder here is that you're not alone, really. Like, you've got friends, you've got people like me. So if you're a perfectionist, or if you know perfectionists, you can either be helped or be open for help, or you can look around and see, hey, I'm saying this. Do you want to talk? And if you ask me, oh, Luis, okay, this is awesome, but did you solve all these traits or the negative things that you said before? My only answer is a little bit. It's not perfect though, but you got this. You're gonna make your life better because you have all the tools. Thank you very much for your time. I hope this was good. And if you have any questions, I'm here.
So, thank you very much for your talk, and yeah, definitely learned a lot from that. It's really different, like from your usual like programming talks, but mental health is something that should definitely be talked more about. Um, and in a way, I do agree with your wife that everyone should at least talk to a therapist at some point in their life, right? To just figure things out.
It does help. It does help a
um,
lot.
they're trained to do that. They know how to handle that stuff, and they can really help you out. Especially if you don't know anyone else you can talk to about it. Yeah, they've heard it. They've heard it before, right? They've talked to a lot of different people. They know how to deal with stuff, and they can definitely help you out with learning with new things, how to deal with that. Um, I actually see a question coming in from Sander. Can you see the question in the screen right now, or?
Yep.
Ah, cool.
So expectations for myself leading to thinking that other expects the same. Yeah, so if I put myself in the 3 dimensions that I mentioned, I have a bit of everything. It was very difficult for me to realize that. But yes, I create expectations for myself. I think that others also have high expectations. And I used to do, I'm trying to improve, and I think I am improving in a way with these expectations towards the others. At least I'm trying to not be so damn critic about the others.
Yeah, it's definitely something. Like if you're always trying to do the absolute perfect thing, at some point you can start thinking, that your team will expect the same thing from you, that they also want you to do the perfect thing. Um, and what was really funny for me was finding out that you can spend like hours to get the perfect thing, and you're finally thinking, this is perfect. I can finally finish this specific task I'm doing. You show it to the rest and they still find something, and that's, well, heartbreaking at first as well. But what definitely helps is like when they say that, when they say it's fine, and you're like, well, it's not, and it's fine, it's truly fine.
But the thing is, why do we do what we do? So there's a reason, right? We're solving problems. We're not just trying to create the perfect scenario or the perfect solution for all the things. Like our goal is to solve the problem, and the people who are the audience of our solutions, they don't really care about how we're solving. They care that we're not creating more problems, though. So that's the goal. But to give you a quick example, like I maintain a library, a PHP library for JWT, so JSON Web Tokens, and I spent about 5 years to implement a new major release because to me it wasn't good. And at a certain day, I just said, "Hey, I have got to release this. Otherwise, why am I doing that?" And after releasing, I obviously felt that there are things that should be better, but people started to use and they liked this new API. So that's the only risk you've got. Like, just release the goddamn thing. And the worst case scenario is that PRs will come to with new ideas and say, "Hey, maybe you can try this, and this will be a better way to solve that."
Yeah, in a way, we do thank you for releasing a major release every 5 years, because that library has saved us so much time, and it's amazing. We use it in a few projects now, and I don't think we've ever encountered a bug in there. Even it just
That's good to
works.
hear.
Yeah, it works really well, and yeah, definitely, it's cool not having to upgrade it every week. That's what me. No, but definitely. That's like also how I recognized your name when we were when I was told, who was going to speak about what at this meetup. I was like, hey, I know that name from somewhere. And yeah, we use your JWT package, your JSON Web Token package, to to verify the JSON Web Tokens if they're still valid and get some values from that. And yeah, it's definitely a great library. So keep up the good work in that regard.
Thanks.
And yeah, thank you very much. I don't know if there's any more questions. Let me check real quick. Um, Not that I can see. Well, that can only mean one thing. That means your talk was really clear. You
Or
answered
not.
every question
I
they
just
had.
confused everybody.
Yeah. Nah, I think it's probably the former.
That's
Nah,
good. That's good.
it's a really great talk. Thank you very much. And
Thank you for inviting me, and thank everybody for watching.
yeah, no problem at all. And yeah, hopefully talk to you some more later, and maybe on Twitter or somewhere else. And yeah, have a great day. Hope you avoid the
Thank you.
rain. We still have some rain over here, so you might be safe yet. Um,
Who knows?
And,
It's the Netherlands after all.
yeah, it could definitely. It could even start hailing while the sun is out, so you never know.
All right
All
then.
right.
See you around.
See you around. Bye.